renewal, but it's focused from a commercial perspective. Then, of course, I teach the Discovering Commercial Real Estate class, and I wrote a class called Commercial Sales Contracts 101. I cannot possibly, in the time that we have, do an adequate job of giving you a sample of my teaching. So what I thought I would do is tell you 4 things that you might want to know about my classes. First, every single class is updated before every single presentation. I will add new material. I'll try to edit and improve existing material. Sometimes I'll just change the word, one word in a slide. But if that helps the students' understanding, that's what I want to accomplish. Here's a couple of specific examples. The new editions of the National Realtor magazine, first 2 that came out in 2020, each one had an article that directly applied to subject matter in Legal 1 and then in Legal 2. So I have picked up that information, I've included it in my presentation. Here's another example. When this case came out from TREC, this was an actual case that they had a hearing on, and they literally took this young lady's license away after fining her a substantial fine. And in both the Legal 1 commercial edition and my commercial sales contracts class, I point out how critically important it is in a commercial contract in particular to get the names of the entities correct. Well, this young lady didn't do that. I can't tell you all the complications then that went into it, but I can tell you that she wound up losing her license over this. And when I make that point to my students, you can tell they're paying attention. Secondly, as I've already mentioned to you, I really try to make my classes focus on an application to the student's business. Here are a couple of examples. In Legal 2, we talk a lot about the information about brokerage services form. Frankly, folks, most agents see this at best as a necessary evil. It is not that. If viewed correctly, this form is a great way to build trust with a prospective client and to establish your level of professionalism. So I break the form down into its parts. I walk the students through each of those parts and explain how they can make a presentation of this form in a way that's very positive to their business. Second, from the Discovering Commercial Real Estate class, which I think, having written a class from a national perspective that discusses the differences between commercial real estate and residential, I think that NAR did a really good job, but I think they fell really short when it comes to discussing the evaluation of commercial properties, which of course is done totally differently than a residential valuation would be. And so when they discuss cap rates, this is what you see in the manual. I don't like that. That does not explain what a cap rate is. So I have created a sheet that's inserted in the student manual right behind page 25. I define cap rate in simple terms. I lay out the equation and explain how it works. I provide an example of developing a cap rate valuation from the ground up. And most importantly, I demonstrate how critically important it is to get the cap rate right, because if you change it by just a point or two, you have dramatically impacted the value of that commercial property. Third, I try to simplify and emphasize key points. And what I'm meaning there is I try to put myself in the mindset of my students. They're saying, Jim, just cut to the chase. Tell me what this means and how I can apply it in my business. Here's a couple of examples. In the approved TREC PowerPoint deck, here is the slide that you see when we discuss this case. Now, this case takes up an entire half page in the student manual. You can have the students read it, or even worse, you can read it out loud to them yourself, and they'll learn about all of the appeals and all of the legal counterpoints and all that. This is what the students want to know. If your seller is going to use a disclosure statement that requires additional attachments, just be sure that all of them are there, then you'll never get into a legal case like this. Here's another example. This one's from Legal 2 in FIRPTA. When they jump into FIRPTA, the Foreign Investment in Real Property Tax Act of 1980, they go straight to this, best practices. The students are sitting there saying, well, wait, what is this FIRPTA thing? You're telling me best practices, but I don't even know what it is. So I have created this slide, which I use before best practices, that just reassures them, hey, this is not a new deal. It's been around for a long time. It requires foreign investors to pay tax on any real property sale, residential or commercial. But here's the key for you as an agent. It requires the buyer to collect that sales tax and to remit it to the IRS. That's what you need to know and be able to advise your client about. Finally, I try to remind students about the benefits of Realtor membership, particularly us commercial practitioners. I was asked at least every week by fellow practitioners who are not Realtors, why would you spend the time and money to belong to this Realtor organization? What do you get out of that? Well, very subtly, I'm able to demonstrate that point to my students before we go into a detailed discussion, paragraph by paragraph, of the TXR Form 1801, the Commercial Contract for Improved Property. I put up this slide, which reminds the students that this is a member service to you as a Realtor. You don't pay anything extra for these forms. They're updated on a regular basis. So when you download a form from Zip Forms, you know it is the most current form. And finally, that form is personalized to your brokerage. So you're emphasizing again to your client additional value that you're bringing to the transaction. So what do my students think about my classes? Well, I taught these classes in May, and here are the actual weighted evaluation scores for each of the 4 classes. You can see them there on the screen. But the most important thing to me as an instructor was that there were about 70 different Realtors around the state. Now, some of them attended 2 or even 3 of the classes, so I had a lot of repeat customers. But given the coming and going, there were about 70 different Realtors that participated, and every one of them said that they would take another class from the same instructor. That made me feel good. Here are the classes that I'll be teaching coming up the rest of this calendar year. I'll be doing the commercial version of Legal 1 and 2 twice more. I'll be doing commercial sales contracts and discovering commercial real estate 3 times more. Let me mention to you this August 12th date of Legal 1 and 2. I think you'd have to agree that it was a scheduling snafu, but we are scheduled to have both the standard version of Legal 1 and 2 as well as the commercial version on the same day, August the 12th. So if you feel like it would be a good member benefit for your membership to have the commercial version of the class, since this is one of the very few times it's taught during the year, then you need to be sure to select that class when you sign up. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present, and I think, as Shiloh said, we should have time for a question or 2.
Yeah, so if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask Jim.
Hi, Jim. Joanne from Waco. We've had commercial agents asking if there would be any meatier classes being offered, so they're further in their career, and the ones that we're seeing through TR are too elementary for them.
Okay, the Legal 1 and 2 class, everybody has to take that class to renew their license. If you've got commercial practitioners, they're going to get more out of the commercial version of Legal 1 and 2 than they will the standard version. I promise you. I've not had a commercial practitioner take that class that got back to me later and said, Jim, you know, you promised commercial content, I didn't get it. Then the Discovering Commercial Real Estate class is really not for them. That really focuses on the difference between residential and commercial brokerage. And frankly, a good part of the class is focused on encouraging residential practitioners to refer commercial transactions, because as I say several times during the class, oh, and that goes the other way too. A commercial practitioner should not be trying to do residential transactions every now and again. I emphasize you don't know what you don't know, and that means you're not providing competent service to your clients. The commercial sales contract class may, depending on how seasoned the practitioner is, that may not offer a whole lot new, but it will be a lot more meaningful than 3 hours on some totally different topic. Thanks for the question, Joanne. And by the way, Waco has carried my classes several times, and you've had great turnout.
You're welcome. Thank you.
This is a simple question. How would you like to be contacted if we would like to schedule a class? Email or a phone call?
Either one works just great. I put both contacts on the screen when I teach classes and encourage my students to get back to me. And obviously, the easiest way to do it is if you want to sign up for one of the classes that I'm already scheduled to offer through TXR. And that's a great platform. It works very, very well. But if you'd like to talk to me personally or ask additional questions after this, hopefully you're still seeing my email address and phone number there on the screen. Okay?
I don't.
JWP Partners. So you've got the word partners butted against my initial, jwppartners@gmail.com.
And the phone number that's on the Texas Realtor website, is that to you or to the board office?
That would be the board office. My phone number is 817-239-8998. 817-239-8998. Thanks, LaDawn. I'll look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jim. And then we will just keep moving right along, and I'm happy to introduce you to Christy Gessler.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for your time today. I'm going to approach my presentation just slightly different than Jim's, and I'm just kind of a conversationalist. So I'm going to have a conversation with you guys about who I am and where I see the state of instruction moving forward in 2020 and beyond. So back at when we had our winter meeting back in Austin at the Hyatt Regency, when we all could have a good time together face to face, I did my presentation to become an instructor. It was my time to give you my GRI presentation, to be an instructor for GRI, and I'm happy to report that I passed with flying colors and had a wonderful time doing that. So I am certified to teach those modules. But that was kind of one of the last class opportunities that started to exist. And so I had been talking with some other association staff around the state pre-COVID pandemic. And I was scheduled a long time ago to go out and teach a small class in Kerrville. And I'm happy to report that I still went out there. We practiced all the governor's rules at the time. Everyone was socially distanced and having a great time. And we had a class of 6 people that took 3 little classes with me all day, walked out of there with 7 hours of CE, and we made it out before the giant storm that hit Kerrville about 3 weeks ago, barreled through town, and everybody made it out before the tornado came through town. So we were happy to report everybody made it out safe. But I think what I want to share with you is as an instructor, I still very much value the in-person education. And I know right now that's a scary topic for a lot of people, a lot of associations. I was Williamson County Association of Realtors board president in 2012. I am still very active at Texas Realtors, and I sit currently at the NAR board of directors. And one thing that's very pervasive is there's a lot of concern over how we should handle education moving forward. And one thing I want you all to know as instructors, or as coordinators of us instructors and those needing education, is I travel, I love it. I have best practices all lined out for safe classrooms and how as these things change and as different directives change from the governor, and I know it's local and I know it's challenging, but I think we can work with it. And I am one of those instructors that is willing to do it. I will be very frank and honest with you. As a learner myself, I struggle on Zoom. I struggle with making connections with people. I enjoy more interactions like this environment than I could normally have ever had. Seeing all y'all's faces today wouldn't have happened without this platform. However, it is not necessarily the best learning delivery module for many learners. We can say it is, and I know right now there's a lot of agents gathering up hours and gathering up time in front of their computer, but are they learning? And so I want just to have everybody know that that is important to me. The option of still face-to-face, socially distanced learning, lots of plexiglass if necessary. We have all of the different best practices that I offer. So to kind of rewind just a moment is I am a practicing real estate broker, although I'm a non-competing broker of a small firm in Austin, Texas. My home board is the Williamson County Association, and I live in Liberty Hill, which I was a UT graduate and I was in the School of Geography. I know I'm pretty close to the center of the state. I'm not dead on, but I'm close. So what that means is I can get to a lot of places. I have an RV. I've got a great boyfriend who's a disabled vet and a dog, and we hit the road. And so it is a good location, but I have grown up my real estate career the last 15 years. I have been at small firms. I have been at large firms. I have owned the largest firm in Austin, Texas, a franchise of that company from Austin, and now I own my own independent brokerage. I've walked a mile in a lot of agents' shoes, and I like to incorporate that into my classes. When I was a broker owner at a Keller Williams office, one of my agents gave me a t-shirt because as their broker and manager and trainer at the time, I always said, everything's going to be fine. You go to your broker, everything's going to be fine. And so I have a t-shirt. They made me one and I wear it and says, everything's going to be fine as long as you keep your education up and get engaged and have a good conversations with your brokers. So I launched the Real Estate Flight School back in February of 2020. It's an added business that I am offering to go out and teach real estate education courses. Y'all can email me. I have a great manifest of the classes that I teach with full descriptions, full course numbers, hours, any of that. And that's always being added too. I've written 3 classes myself, and Gregory is a saint at Texas Realtors because he helped me get all of them through amidst a pandemic that was a little bit nutty, but the staff is so helpful and I'm so appreciative of that. But I do write original content, and just like Jim said, I believe that content needs to be updated every single chance we get. So any instructor that brings you dated content is not doing you a favor. The content is out there, it's relatively easy to obtain, and so I do think it's very, very important that you really scrutinize your instructors and what content they are presenting you with. It is ever changing. If we don't know that now, we'll never know that, right? With ever changing information out there, we need to be aware of it. I was a sheriff's deputy back in the 1990s here in Austin, Texas as well. And so I do bring an element of safety, security, and compliance to everything that I do when it comes to education classes and promoting the code of ethics and good, solid real estate. I've been doing that my entire career and always practicing what is right. Have sat on professional standards for many years and have really enjoyed that collaboration and interaction to weave the code of ethics into every single course that we teach. Now that is no more important, I think, than now. Fair housing needs a fresh look. We need a lot of conversations about some of our classes and what curriculum we are sharing. And I'm open to get in there and get in the trenches and rewrite some curriculum if we need to. Started to do it in my young instructor career. I've only been at this a few months, but I'm in it to really freshen it up as needed. There's some good stuff out there, but we need to freshen it up a little bit. So I had prepared a small little teaching presentation for you today, but as I kind of sit here and have this conversation, I just want to implore to you that seeing is believing. Coming out and doing some things live action is really, really good. I have a full website, therealestateflightschool.com. Y'all can look at the website. I also host a podcast every week on Apple, Spotify, all of your regular podcasting outlets called The Dependent Agent. I talk about addiction, anxiety, and depression in real estate and how we can be better leaders, how we can be better realtors together as not only association staff and management, but as brokers and leaders in our community. So I'm very connected. I like to stay in touch with everyone. I like to have very dynamic, collaborative classes. That's that's super, super important to me. Managing my brokerage is called the Freedom 512 Real Estate Group, small little group of about 12 agents here focusing on residential in Central Texas. So if you ever needed any info, I'd be happy to help you out with that. Of course, I'm an RPAC major investor, going to be going in the Hall of Fame this year. So I also like to lead by example. If y'all need some help with TreePack, I'm your girl. I'm a TreePack trustee alumni. We can go out there and we can raise some money for TreePack during classes too, and I love that a lot. So, and TreePack did us well during the pandemic. Wouldn't you all agree with that? There were some big wins for TreePack. And so the more we can talk about that in our classes, I think the better as well. So I prefer small groups. My teaching style, I like to be collaborative and be around people. So if that fits your upcoming business model in 2020 and even 2021 and beyond, because I'm certainly not going anywhere in this business. I love this industry, and coming out of law enforcement, I was well prepared to handle real estate agents and clients. Very, everyone's a suspect, and everything works out if everyone just cooperates, communicates, and follows my orders. So as long as everybody is good to go, I've got a few minutes left. I'm happy to entertain any questions that you may have. I did put my email in the chat box there for you, so you could just pop me an email and I can reply to that if you'd like any further information. But I appreciate everyone's time today. I appreciate the chance to kind of introduce myself a little bit, since I'm pretty new. Not new to real estate, but new to the education and instructor world. But I love it. I'm not afraid, and this is a great business. So thank you for your time, and y'all have a great day. Anybody have any questions? Perfect.
Christy, I had to step away from my desk for a moment. When you say you prefer a small setting, how many people is that?
I'm seriously going less than 10, y'all. I am following most of the standard protocols. The course I gladly took out in Kerrville was 6 socially distanced, safe people for an entire day, and we had a blast. Everybody was good. So I can do groups of less than 10, and I'm happy to do so.
But when COVID is over, is that going to increase?
A little bit if necessary, but I still believe in the small group setting. I honestly do. I honestly, even when I was a team leader at my large brokerage, if there was a single agent that showed up in that training room for one of my classes, I taught. I taught the full hour. I stayed there and I taught that person. I poured into that person. I realize there's economics involved. I realize we don't need to lose a lot of money doing this, but I'm budget friendly and I do want to accommodate different learners.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Shiloh, I can sign off, and I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.
Shiloh, you're muted.
I've done this before, I promise. So thank you very much, Christy. Appreciate you being here, and we will move right along, and I'm happy to introduce you to Rodina Reynolds.
Thank you so much to John and Shiloh and everyone at Texas Realtors for, let's see. Can y'all hear me? There we are. Do we have sound now? We have sound?
Yeah, we're good.
Great. Thank you so much, Shiloh, and to John and everyone that took the time and energy to set this up from Texas Realtors. We really appreciate the opportunity. It's really nice to meet everybody, even if it is by video. It seems like the world's changed so much. As she said, I'm Rodina Reynolds. I have been instructing for about 7 years. I have been a member of the San Antonio board and a licensed agent for about 18 years now. I'm proud to work with Mike Crowley at our San Antonio board. He's done terrific things with the Realtor Academy. We are so fortunate to have him. He and I are collaborating right now to introduce some new classes and kind of beef up some of the offerings. It's been an adjustment for me as well. I am very much a live trainer. So to do this from a video standpoint and keep everybody from having Zoom fatigue has been a challenge. So I'm with Christy. I'm still teaching the small group classes. I love small group. I feel like it's so much more interactive. We'll do great big groups as well. So I really always want my classes like Jim to be high value. I want the students to leave feeling like they're better than they were when they came. My goal is to always give them something that's useful in their everyday practice. So it's not fluff. I'm like Jim. I update my content a lot. I write all of my own content. I've written several classes that have been turned into CE classes over the years. It's just right now I'm teaching from the TR schedule of classes, and I can send it out to everybody as soon as we're done here. I do, which leads me into today's little snippet. I do actually have a class snippet for you that I'll do. One of the things, this particular snippet is on negotiation. I have several different lengths of negotiation classes that I teach. I feel like it's a little bit of a travesty that negotiation was not a course that was required for licensure. I think our buying and selling public automatically assume that all real estate agents are great negotiators, and we know that that's just not true. So I do my dead level best to help agents learn to be better negotiators so that they're more confident when they're dealing with their clients. So this snippet is from that. The goal in each of my classes and the motto of my company, Strategic Synergy, my training company, is that I harness knowledge to momentum. I really want them to feel like they gain something every time they're with me. I promise to not ever waste a student's time. So anyway, let's get started on the instruction sample. I will have everybody turn on their chat usually in my classes. Obviously, we don't have a lot of time to chat today, but I try to really make it as interactive as possible because it can really be monotonous and become mundane, especially when you get to a 2 or more hour class if we aren't interactive. So I do my dead level best to do that. So anyway, let me minimize and open my PowerPoint here and I will get rolling. Okay, can everybody see my PowerPoint? Shiloh, is my PowerPoint showing?
It isn't yet.
Okay, let's see what we need to do here. Can you see me? Can you see my screen though? You can.
I can see the screen next to you.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay, we're good. Okay, we're good. So let's get rolling here. Basically, in this class, we'll take a look at, let's start with all of you who just came back off a break. I know it's very difficult to work from home. I know it's a challenge. I feel like sometimes we aren't even sure if the pilot's on the plane sometimes. You're wondering what's happening in your household when you're trying to work and you don't know what everybody's doing while you're gone. As your pilot, I am definitely on the plane today and we'll get this landed safely. But thanks for coming back for the second hour of class. I want to remind you, we talked about this in the first hour of class, what you're going to be gaining. You'll definitely get a solid foundation for negotiating. And I want you to know that some of the core principles of real estate are so key to what makes negotiation work. All the fancy strategies and principles and tactics in negotiation will not help you if you don't have your core real estate behind you. One of the things that we'll work on this hour that I absolutely want you to have, if you take nothing else away from class today, I want you to have some winning words and phrases. They'll help you in your everyday negotiations with your kids or your spouse, but they'll help you incredibly in real estate if you can get those.
Christy, did you freeze Rodina?
I was just going to ask, I was hoping, I was just going to ask because I was like, is that me? I'm not sure if it's me or not.
No, she got an internet connection issue.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just going to give her 1 second to see if she can get back online.
She's back. Rodina, your volume is off. Your sound is off.
Yep.
I'm not really sure how did that just happen? Huh. Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
That was
Yeah,
weird.
you're good.
I don't know what happened there. Huh. I didn't touch a thing. Not sure what happened.
Okay. Welcome back.
Okay, good to be here. I was talking about a reading list. I will include that at the end of the class. There's so many good books out there. And as real estate agents, we should always be adding tools to our toolbox and kind of expanding what we've learned. I'll try to give you a really good basis here today, but do audiobooks, do whatever it is on this specific topic that you need to beef up on. Another thing that I'll send you is, this goes without saying, a list of dumb things to never ever say in a real estate transaction. So I'll make sure you get that as well. So let's take a look at some of the things that we should expect. So let's recap some of the key concepts. In any class that I teach, I have to reiterate over and over again the obligation to serve your clients. It is so, so important that you are keenly aware of your fiduciary responsibility. Article 1 of the Code of Ethics, realtors pledge to protect and promote the interests of their clients ahead of their own interests. Your fiduciary responsibility always, always means that you serve their interests and their desires and needs first. Of course, it's always in a climate of honesty, but we have to remember, even if our mortgage payment is due, to not let that stress be inflicted into the negotiation and the way we handle our clients. It's super important that we never forget that. Another key concept that we have to have in place before we can really solidly negotiate are the ideas of trust and respect and just listening to people. Sometimes we forget to just shut up and listen. I love this quote by Jeffrey Gitmer. He says the best way to sell something is don't sell anything. Just start first with the ideas of listening and showing respect, and then that respect will build trust. So if we start with that, it'll help us so much in our negotiations. The next thing, attitude. If you don't approach your clients and the transaction with the correct attitude, it'll actually cause more drama. Start off confident, be positive, be encouraging, try to be building trust as you go, collaborative, be collaborative with the other agent. It is not a necessary ideal in negotiation, and I don't know where this came from, that everything has to be adversarial. It doesn't. Collaborative is so much more effective. Doing everything you can to get to the yes, bringing everybody to agreement, it's a much better mindset and you'll get a lot more out of it. You need to be aware of their attitude, because you can shift your attitude to help improve theirs, whether it's your client or the other agent. Knowledge. It is so important that we understand our promulgated docs, that we know the rights and responsibilities, that we understand all of the things that are going on in lending, that are going on in title, what it takes with mobile notaries. COVID's really changed how we do business. So for us, having a good market, a market snapshot of what's happening, what is inventory doing, what is lending doing, how long is a VA appraisal taking, our knowledge is so imperative. And finally, once we've got these things in line, the strategies, we can start to employ some strategies that we didn't used to have to help us make all the rest of it work. Okay, this is what I hoped you'd really go away with today. If you learned nothing else, it's so important that you put yourself and what you say and do in a position that puts you together with the client against the problem. Make sure that they know that you're on the same team with them. There is nothing worse than your client looking at you and saying, well, whose team are you on anyway? That is the worst feeling ever. So what I want to do are put you in a position of having these words and phrases at your disposal. Put them in your vocabulary so that they're very easily accessed, to put them at ease, let them know that you're confident that you will get to the closing table, and help reassure them every step of the way. Words like typical and traditional, it's fair to use those often. Oh, this is a typical request on a repair amendment. It's very traditional in our marketplace that the seller pays for the title policy. It's customary in our market that this. It's a reasonable request that the buyer wants the AC cleaned and checked prior to closing. If you use these phrases, it'll help you so much, especially when it comes to things like fees and expenses. If you say, oh, that is a common fee or a common expense at closing. These three words are so helpful. Solvable, workable, doable. You're showing confidence that we can get this done. We can get to a yes. We can get to the closing table. Your confidence will increase their confidence. The word fair, I'd use it sparingly. Everybody has a different version of fair, but I will say that if you hear everybody mention the word fair, you can probably work it into your negotiations. So before we move on, I'd like everybody to make sure in their chat box that they have it open and start to give me some ideas, now that we're really into the content here, about what it is that scares you, concerns you, what you feel your deficits are when it comes to negotiating. What is it that is a gap for you? What are the things that you see as issues? Where do you have a lack of knowledge or a lack of information? If you'll start to put that in your chat box, we'll go through that here in the next little bit. As far as winning phrases, say things like, I understand your concern. Again, being with your client against the problem. Let's find a way to address it. You're the person who does the legwork that helps them address it, but you have to reassure them that you're willing to do that work and then lead them down that path. This is an issue we can work with together to resolve. Let's look at our options and then give them all the options and start working on that. All of these things help your client feel like the negotiation is under control and they stand a chance of getting through this in a way that makes them comfortable and getting into the house that they so deserve. I think that's all the time I have. I'll stop right there. Do y'all have any questions at this point?
All right. Well, thank you, Rodina, so much for your time. That was great. Anyone have any questions for Rodina? All right. Well, we will move right along, and I would love to introduce you to Mark Porter.
Well, hello. I recognize a lot of those faces and names, those of you that are hiding behind your cameras. It's good to see y'all. Welcome. Oh, you too, Connie. I saw that. Well, my name is Mark Porter. I'm a instructor. I'm a broker owner. I own Castle Hills Real Estate, have for about 12, 13 years. Been teaching since I was the first guy in the office to buy a computer back in 1990. So I've been teaching other people real estate technology since then. So I've been 30 years in the real estate business. About 18 years of this, I just fell in love with CRS and the CRS classes. So about 18 years ago, I tried to become an instructor and succeeded. Probably one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my life, and truly difficult, but it's done a lot for my career in teaching, where you're having other high profile instructors in the room tweaking and critiquing your ability to teach is a situation, and it's done a lot. I have a website out there called markporterlive.com. You're welcome to go to it, and there's a link I put in the chat box if you want to go to the courses. I teach lots of different stuff, but my focus is technology, business planning, marketing, and investing. Do a lot of residential investing. We own property management and own a couple of single family homes, and we're invested in multifamily residential also. You can see my profile up at Texas Realtors for some of the classes that are already approved for me to teach. I have many other classes, whether they're 1 hour to multiple days. I'm happy to work with you on that. I got the idea. I stole this from Jim. I went and looked up some of my scores on texasrealtors.com, where you can see. I thought you'd see some good grades there. I teach a lot nationally, all over the United States. So I haven't these last 5 years taught a lot in Texas, but I've been teaching. One of the things that are benefits of working with me, we do marketing. So we will help. This is an example of a flyer we sent out for a class that was sponsored by, I think, the Colorado Association of Realtors. And obviously we attracted everybody nationally. So I can get some butts and chairs for you, especially with this methodology of Zoom and things like that. This is what I stare at when I'm teaching. This is my control center. What I'll always have is what I'm sharing on the left. So that's like the PowerPoint online. That's what I'm looking at right now. And in the middle, I see the audience. And I think the important thing here is the audience is bigger. I can see the facial expressions. I can see the body language. So if I need to revisit something, I can come back and see that you lost it, or I lost you, and I can restate it and keep you involved. It really helps a lot having you really big on the screen in front of me, just like in the audience. And then on the right, you can see I have the chat window open, which if you have not opened your chat window, please do so. It's rest your cursor down at the bottom. There's a participants in chat. And you can click on my business card and it will automatically add to your contacts. And if you want to, you can look at my PowerPoint in a PDF form. If you want to download that, you're certainly welcome to. So mission control, I love to teach. I'm pretty good at it. I know a few of you that know me. One of my hottest topics seems to be, and this is the last 10 years, is this ever-changing video internet marketing. So that's what I picked to kind of show you a little bit of today. Here's an example, a video that we do on a monthly basis. It's one marketing effort that we put out via video, and we put it out lots of different ways, like in Twitter and Instagram and all the others. I'll show you a few more. But we first upload the video to YouTube, and that's what you see here. And I don't know if you've ever noticed this. When you're sitting on a YouTube video, there's a share button. And if you click that share button, the first choice is the embed text. Let that sink in just a second. The embed text. The embed text is, if I take that text and put it in the right spot on a different web page, it will be a video there. It will embed the video over on that page. So I would get comfortable doing this on a regular basis, whether you're trying to respond to somebody via an email, make a video. It's really impressive to that potential consumer or customer. So I'm going to hit the embed text, and when I click that, oh, wrong way, it brings up the embed text in which I can select it. You with me? I can copy it, and then I can take that over to my website, create a new page, and hit paste. Wherever I paste that text, that's where that video shows up. You should do this. This is a great way to promote your classes. It's a great way to share news from your board of realtors, associations, things like that. So again, I'm starting back here at YouTube video. I click share. I hit the embed text, and I hit copy. You with me so far? Give me a little nod. Yeah, okay. Then the next, I'll go over to, now this is my website. Everybody's looks a little different, but when you're editing a page, a lot of times you have this button that right here, it looks like chevron/chevron, but in WordPress, like it's called HTML, and in, I don't know, a couple of the other canned website companies for real estate agents, it's called source view. And what you're doing is you're changing the view from normal to the HTML view. Because when you're pasting HTML, you have to be in HTML mode. So I just click that button right there. Up comes this HTML place. So I hit paste, and I hit update, and I'm done. Basically now that page contains the embedded YouTube video without even, it brings in a picture of the video and everything. It's really cool. Say, ooh. So get used to doing that. And then once you've learned that, boy, building on that, you can do so much. For example, once that video is in our website, here's one benefit. Now I never have to take somebody to YouTube to watch the video. What's going to happen if they go to YouTube? They're going to be gone, right? They're going to be off looking at other videos. So I'm always hyperlinking back to here, to my webpage. And there's two benefits to that from Google's point of view. For the Google search engine optimization, I'm getting a hit or juiced on the video over at my YouTube channel, and I'm getting a hit or juiced on my webpage. So I'm getting credit, and this is helping me climb up the search engine order for searches for my real estate business, for my teaching business, for property management business. Once you grasp that, it's just going to do so much for getting web hits and web leads. And then once we do that, we're going to start doing all this different types of marketing, like placing video inside of an email message. Here's an example of our new listing. And we just basically take a picture of this. We take a picture of that video, highlight it, and hit print screen to copy it, and we paste it in here and hyperlink it. And now I've got video in my email message without having to pay BonBon. You know, I don't have to pay the $60 a month for video in an email. Plus, when I'm paying somebody else for this service to put video in my email, they're getting credit with Google, not me. Why would I want to pay extra money and not get as much benefit from Google out of that? So there's an example of getting hits, drawing people to the video or to your website via a link inside of a picture. Here's an example of another use. Every time an agent sets up a showing, we get an email message notifying us of that pending showing, and we reply with a video. And this gets 6 hits on average, meaning every time somebody sets up a showing and we reply, the count at YouTube goes up 6 hits. It's amazing. So those agents, they're giving it to their buyers are sharing it, they're watching the video, and now I'm climbing up the search engine ladder in Google. This is all a piece of a concept that I call the new marketing model, which is another course. And it's an example of us taking one marketing effort, like a video, and putting it out there several different ways. So the reality is, like, my son would never see a postcard. He gets his mail once every couple of weeks out at the apartment complex, and then, you know, he rarely looks at it. So he might see an email, but the main thing he notices when we send out materials is from Twitter. You know, and, you know, I used to say I'll never text, but, well, obviously, you know, today you wouldn't survive without text. Well, I also used to say I'd never tweet, but the reality is there's a group of the population out there that communicates preferably by Twitter. And there's one by Pinterest and Instagram, all the corporate America, LinkedIn. You know, those guys are using LinkedIn. So each one of our marketing efforts, one marketing effort goes out 10 ways. So we capture all those different profiles of the population. YouTube is just one of those ways. And, you know, so I got a class that kind of builds up for each one of these items on how to market high-tech marketing. And it's, once you do it, it's pretty easy. Yes, it's intimidating at first because you've never done it before, but you can do it. I teach investing, technology, business planning, and marketing. I'd love to be one of your instructors. And, you know, at any budget, let me know. Happy to help. Any questions? Shy group. Okay.
Take it as a compliment that you've answered everything ahead of time.
Well, thank you. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mark. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. You'll be receiving an email from me here in just a few minutes with a link to a survey. We just like to get your feedback on this instructor showcase. And if you need contact information that you didn't get during the presentations, please feel free to let myself or John know. John is out of the office until Monday, so you may not hear back from him as quickly. But anyway, that's all we have for you, and hopefully we will see you next week at our final Education Invitational for the time being. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next time.
See, Connie.